Now you do. Now I do. You're on.
Let's not forget tomorrow at 2 o'clock on TCT, we'll be on Ask the Pastor, we'll be on tomorrow. And also next Monday, 2 weeks in a row, we'll be on Ask the Pastor.
Yes.
Now, is that one going to be on like 11?
It'll be live tomorrow,
No,
too.
tomorrow it's already taped. Yeah, and that's going to be on 11:30.
Yeah.
Then at 3:30.
Yeah, just like normal.
Right.
Woke up early this morning, unable to sleep. So I ordered a new book. Was reading a book recently, and his brother said the Lord gave him a vision, and in the vision he told him to buy this book. So he bought the book, so I said, well, that's a good idea, I'll buy it then. I started reading just the foreword this morning. And this brother it was written in 2006, but he's talking about revival. And he had a vision, and I won't say who the man is or what book it is, because they don't really want you to repeat it without permission. And since we are repeating it and putting it on Facebook, I don't want to say who it is. Amen. But in 1992 or something, I think he said, he had a vision, and he seen a young man that had a very short surfboard, and he was waiting out in the water, hoping for this great wave to come in. But in the vision, he knew that surfboard wasn't large enough to allow him to actually surf. And he said he's sitting there, he's watching in this vision, this young man sitting there on his surfboard, waiting and dreaming of this great wave to come in, and didn't realize that this huge wave was coming in. And he knew in the vision that if he doesn't look back and prepare for this wave, it's going to do him much harm, maybe even kill him. Excuse me. When finally, right before the wave hit, he looked back and seen it, but it was too late. It smashed him. It tore up his surfboard, beat him up, broke some bones, some scrapes and cuts on his face, and washed him to shore. Then he seen the man in the hospital recovering. And then a little while later, he seen the man going back to the beach, but this time he had the largest surfboard he could find. He had worked out, and he now looked like a bodybuilder. And he said he noticed that all on the beach there were these bodybuilders that were massive. And he said they were even distorted. They looked almost monster, like a monster. They were so big. But in their eyes, they thought they looked really good. And he said that this young man, he looked good. But even more important, he was prepared for the next wave. He went out, and the wave came, and he rode that wave. And he said this vision was actually pretty easy to interpret. He said the wave represents the next wave of the move of God. He said, and unfortunately, many of the churches today, they don't have the proper vehicle to be prepared when that move comes. She's talking about maybe not the proper size building, or not the proper groups of people that will help administrate the work of God when it finally begins to move. And he says that these men, these bodybuilders, they represented a lot of people in the church who stand around and look good amongst themselves, but they're not actually strong enough to go ride the wave. And the point he was trying to make is that we need to be ready when the wave of the Spirit of God begins to move. We need to be prepared and strong enough to fit in and to be used by God. And I thought, man, I see myself there, because we dream of revival. We dream of the great wave of God's Spirit to come in this place. But are we really ready? I think we need to start praying that God makes us ready. Some years ago, I told you before, when I first got saved, everyone told me, you need to write a book. You need to write a book about your testimony. And I put it off, and finally about 2005, I began to write the book. And I had it just about completed. It needed to be edited and checked for grammar or what have you, but it was completed. And my computer crashed. I started again, Gail, a couple times, and it couldn't flow. Before it was just flowing. This time I couldn't get it to flow. I gave up on it. Still in the back of my mind, I need to write this book. About 2.5 years ago, I went over to this hotel in Wycliffe, and there was a prophet called me up. And the first thing he said to me, he said, why haven't you written the book?
Whoa.
That's scary.
And then he went on to say that he's seen me dealing with homeless people, and he said alcoholics, and he said, you know what, like City Mission. Well, that's been our vision and desire for 30, 40 years. Recently, I started the book. When he said that, I started the book immediately. I was almost completed. And I hit the wrong button and wiped it all out. So now that's been about 2 years now. I have been working on it periodically. I'll get on and work on it for about a half an hour, and then I'll forget about it for a month. Well, the Lord's really been stirring me up. I was speaking to someone the other day, and I told him that I've been praying that God would show me how to create an app or something that would bring in millions to support the ministry so that we can expand, so we can buy this property and build a building that can feed the poor, and possibly get another building that we can have in the suburbs, or we can have larger church services, and I was even thinking about putting billboards all over the city. Maybe we get some of the video boards and have Jesus walking with the cross, and then a caption says, he did this for you. Other ways to reach the lost. And as I was sharing this, I told this friend of mine that I also need to finish my book. And immediately the response was, that's where God's going to bless you. So I started getting on my book, and I got a new phone, and my other phone, whenever I talk, it would, I would say, I would give a phrase like, how are you doing today? And it would say, I love white turkey meat, or something like that.
Yep.
But I got a new phone about 2 weeks ago, and I noticed that what I say, if I talk normal, if I don't talk my hillbilly talk, most of the time it comes out what it's supposed to say. And when I get a little carried away and start talking like, us Southsiders, Shirley,
Yep.
I have to go back and correct a few things. But I have been able, the last 3 or 4 nights, I have been able to write a couple chapters. And to fill in spots that things I remember, so I have to go back, a few chapters back and put some more things in. The other night I was up until 4 in the morning. I went to bed and then I started thinking. So I turned my phone on and started talking. Well, I looked online the other day, night before last, and then again last night. I started looking for publishers because I don't have the money to publish it, and I sure don't know how to promote it. I mean, I could buy it and sell 3 or 4. Give away 10 or 20.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But I found 2 different publishers that you can send your manuscript to if they decide to take your book. I don't know if there's a charge. I haven't found that out yet. But if they decide to take your book, they will edit it. They will check for spelling and grammar. Once they put it together,